So hi everyone. Thank you for coming again today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's great to see some familiar names and supporting faces. Sorry. Oh my God. Excuse me. So to begin with, this course is the second in a series of workshops that are to prepare a developer for Gamescom. We are looking at different aspects of how to network, this business side, how to relate. And this week we are looking at selling and marketing yourself, your game, and your studio. So a brief introduction. My name is GC. I have a background in business development, finance, and I've worked in different game studios. My expertise has been with helping games become from the idea becoming a studio, and that studio getting funding and growing. Part of what we do as Conduit is that we work with developers to actually create assets to market their product. And at the same time, because our investors are developers and publishers, we also function as game scouts. So we are always looking at decks, we're looking at games. And so feel free to send over your deck or your game idea or your studio, especially if you're going to Gamescom. The second person, Kai, unfortunately can't be with us today, but I have a handle on the whole thing. So this is a series that was supposed to cover 4 weeks. We've passed the first week, which is networking. But the recording is currently on YouTube, and by emailing Suzanne, GDA will be able to provide you a link, and they should be publicizing it as well. Our objective here is to basically prepare the developer for Gamescom and Devcom. The whole idea of this is such that the developer is able to present, market, and be able to handle all the business side of things when they go for the convention. My hope is that at the end of this, that I provided a sort of small level of understanding on how to market to investors, publishers, and gamers. There has also been some emails that I got last week about requests to learn a bit more about for developers who are job seekers. And I also covered a little bit about that. You'll be surprised at how within marketing itself, the branding and the message for yourself as a developer looking for a new role is also part of the rules that cover these things as well. Firstly, with the images, you see one as an investor and one as a publisher. Now, it's really simple to actually sort of configure both together, but there are nuances and differences. The investor is looking at the studio and looking to make multiples on the studio, whereas the publisher is looking at the game and more at the game than at the studio. And that key difference shifts how you're going to be marketing to who they are and who you'll be talking to. So let's begin with some hard truths. There are billions of ideas out there, as many ideas as there are people. When you're out there, you're having conversations with people, investors, publishers, and unfortunately, you are a face in the crowd, right? No one has heard about you. No one has heard about your game. No one has heard about your studio. Marketing, messaging, that is all about helping them care about what you want to do. Your job is to essentially make them care. So I'm going to break down a couple of things in which the developer will probably encounter when they are at the convention itself. One of the things is that they will be encountering players for the first time, players who will be playing the game. So what happens for a lot of devs is that they are encountering the public for the first time. They have shown the game to their friends and family, but they've never, and they've gotten great response, but they've never really shown it to the general public. Now, generally speaking, friends and family tend not to be the best people to get that sort of feedback from. I guess the best way to put it is So I'm the best looking guy on the planet. I know this because my mom told me this, right? But it's obviously a lie. But why does she say this? She says this because she loves me. And because she loves me, that the feedback will always be biased. And because it's biased, you're looking at individuals like your friends and family who've looked at your game previously and are saying, fantastic, lovely. But you are encountering negative feedback for this time. So be ready for that. The best individuals who I have found to be the best judge of things that you'll be showing would be mentors and who've been given the permission to actually be critical, to provide you with the strongest feedback. And this can be said for the friends and family, but remember about the biasness involved as well. Another thing that remember is when you're on the ground and you're introducing your game, feedback is always critical and important. You're going to get different pieces of information because your game is on the forefront now and it's being played by actual people. This gives you information about how best to redesign, change. And this is not just about the game. This is also about the marketing of the game. Thematically speaking, does your game convey, for example, your name of your game convey the message of the game itself? The audience, then the general public who are there will be able to give you that sort of feedback, and feedback must always be considered as important. With regards to investors and publishers that developers and studios are looking for, it's important to also understand where they're coming from. So all investors and publishers, they have their own sort of strategy, their own sort of thesis in which how they are looking at companies, looking at different projects. Our investors have theirs, we have ours, different groups have different strategies. That's why you have a huge variety of publishers, a huge variety of investors in games. And this strategy that they have dictates their decision and the thought process in which how they decide to make the investment or not. There are other things that are also part of it. They look at the big picture on things. There are multiple reasons why they could be passing on your game as well. It could be simply personal for them, where it is they have to conserve their cash for the next cycle because they are still fundraising for the next fund. The publisher has found a game that is relatively similar to yours and have already invested in it. These things are stuff that you cannot control. Another thing is their decisions are also based on trends and historical trends, what's hot right now. I mean, we know from the last couple of years that crypto has been the big thing for gaming, and there have been crypto games and investments in crypto. In a sense, they are following a trend, and there will be another trend and another trend. So, their decisions are based on perception, data, trends, and their decisions are essentially not personal, not at all. So what does this mean to you, right? It could be the gamer, it could be the publisher, it could be the investor. It could be just your game might not be what they're looking for. Your studio might not be what they're looking for, or you and your team might not be what they're looking for. The decisions are not personal at all. And when you're there on the ground and you're speaking to people and you're on marketing your game and telling the ideas, it is important to take the feedback, understand that it comes from a context of where they are, and be firm with what you are doing, but also be flexible enough to accept new ideas. Remember, their decisions are not personal at all. Sorry. Today is an interesting day. So what does that essentially mean? In a sense, what you're looking at is that your game could be the best possible game out there. It's the best possible game in the best possible in the genre, but it's not what they're looking for. I like to think of it as the peaches thing. You can be the ripest, juiciest peach in the world, but there's still going to be someone who hates peaches. You can't make everybody happy. So let's move on to the marketing component of this. When you are marketing your game, it's important to understand your audience. It's important to understand your market segment. It's important to understand the audience behavior, and also important to understand your goals. These pieces of information fit together to form a bigger picture in which how you will be, in a sense, attacking the problem of getting your message, your game out there. The first two look somewhat similar, but the best way to think about it is that within the audience, you're thinking about it in terms of the specific individual. What are their values? What are their age, gender? What you're trying to do is you're trying to create a specific persona that allows you to tailor your marketing to their specific needs, wants, and sort of behaviors, thereby allowing you to think like them such that you can market to them. Within understanding your market segment itself, you're looking at the entire market and you're dividing it into sub-markets as well. This is, instead of looking at an individual, you're grouping them into different groups. It allows you to see the bigger picture, and it covers their platform preference, their genre preference, their level of engagement. And this knowledge helps you identify your competition. It helps you understand the dynamics and trends of the market, of how things are shifting. And basically, you can tailor your broader marketing strategy to fit into what is available. And the thing is, copying is the best form of flattery, I believe, is the saying. And that is, in a sense, very much following your understanding the market, understanding what's being out there, understanding your competition. And another aspect is understanding your audience behavior. It helps you tailor the marketing to make it more receptive and to get better results. For example, perhaps your audience behavior is most active at a certain time and in a certain area. So you spend most of your marketing spend, your budget itself, on marketing at this specific time and in this specific area. There are tools right now on various advertising platforms that allow you to select the time where the ad will go out, will allow you to select the individuals that will go out, and sort of positions it. They don't give you specific individual names. They tend to go by zip codes, at least here in the United States. But understanding that sort of behavior, understanding your audience and market segment sort of builds into this. And essentially, you will know how to get the most engagement and the most bang for your buck by understanding these things. So each of these three aspects play essential roles in how, what, and when your marketing message gets out. And next, to bring it all together is that you need to understand your goals. Do you want followers? Do you want wish lists? Do you want them to be backers on Kickstarter? Do you want to reach publishers, recruitment agencies, job people who are looking for their next team, etc., team member? So all that you are looking at is essentially understanding what you want to gain from it, what matches with your understanding your audience, your market segment, and what gets the message clearest and straightest to them. Each different sort of avenue, each platform has their way to reach out to them and appeals to them the most. So one thing that you need to do is you can't be everything. When you are marketing your game to an investor, to gamers, you can't say, oh, my game is like Barbie that will appeal to cute, cozy games in the players, but it also has an horror element. When you try to be everything, you essentially become nothing, and it confuses the message. Once you develop that sort of idea of what your game is about, stick to it, show what is unique within the game itself, and emphasize on why this is so cool, why this is so fun, and why this should appeal to you to want to play the game. When you've developed your strategy, don't sacrifice it for short-term results. When I say that, it's really easy to be swayed by what's the latest hot thing. For example, a hashtag that is posting on for a specific topic. If that topic doesn't match your game, doesn't match your studio, or doesn't match yourself as a brand, don't tag it. Just because you're getting views doesn't mean you're getting good views, right views. And when you are also sacrificing that long-term strategy, what also tends to happen is that you're taking a risk in direction. Sometimes, yes, you do take risks, but that's why they're risk. You have to balance it out. Think long-term. Your game is not just going to be there for one day. Your studio is not going to be there for one day. Your brand itself is not going to be there for one day. It's a whole sequence of schedule of time. Essentially, what you say and what you feel is what consists of the overall marketing message. Every ad that you have, and every visual ad, interactive ad, or even a pamphlet that's given to you, what is the message that you're trying to convey and say to the game, to the audience? And what are you trying to make them feel? Because feeling is what connects your game, your studio, yourself to that individual. Do you want them to feel contented? Do you want them to feel excited? Do you want them to feel thrilled? A very good way to look at it is like, how do you convey what is unique within the game? What is unique about your studio? Putting the message together by forming an outline of how this is unique, and then understanding what you want to make people feel and shaping that message for it. The marketing message itself doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, the simpler, the better. But the background understanding of what it says, what it feels, must always be there and must always be consistent. So now, I love it or hate it, social media, it is what it is, right? Social media, you can love it, you can be posting all the time and you're super excited. Honestly, on a personal level, I don't need to be posting my life every time. I don't need to have my ex-girlfriend know that I'm living the best life ever. It's as simple as what I feel doesn't matter, because the social media itself is key to your studio, to your game, and to your brand. It reaches out to a vast audience that humankind has never been able to do before. And so, unfortunately, social media is here to stay. You can think about it this way: your personal level, you don't necessarily have to interact with social media, but your business persona, your studio persona, your game persona has to interact with it. And it's inevitable, and social media is essentially the core to every marketing campaign, theme, and conveyance of message on our modern world, really. So before you begin going into your marketing channels, your marketing message, you also have to look at your marketing channels. These different marketing channels have different ways that attract the audience members. What it's designed for, and what it's able to the audience that's able to obtain is part of it. So when you decide on your marketing channel, how much money you're going to put into Instagram, how much money you're going to put in Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, these things matter, because it might not be reaching the audience that you want. It might not be reaching the people that you want. There are also different aspects as to how these things are working as well. For example, Instagram is such a visual component. It's such a visual component that an image that grabs their attention, people will like it without even reading the subtitles, the context, the captions. With Facebook, it begins with the words and then the pictures. And so there's a bit more of an interaction of understanding of the topic. But of course, Instagram and Facebook have different audience members as well. with TikTok itself, they're designed for small bite-sized capsules, entertaining pieces of information. And within our industry right now, TikTok is one of the most effective social media platforms for us to get our studio and game out there. One key element to remember with TikTok and with all these is that, and with TikTok in particular, is that the human face attracts the most amount of attention. Once a face is shown on the image, your eyes naturally go to the eyes, and you're connecting, because in the end we're all humans, and TikTok allows you to have that shortened type media where your face talking about your game will be able to convey that sort of reach that you want. Now, LinkedIn is more a professional network, and this comes into play in different ways. I don't believe that developers are thinking about marketing on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn allows you a way to market yourself and what you are doing, and link it to the brand of the game and the studio. And how I mean is this: when you are doing something interesting, creative, something that that you uniquely can do, or your game can uniquely do, how do you convey it out to these people? It's like crafting that message. But who is it going to? Is that the professional network that's looking at it will be like, oh, I need a game like that. I can see that, and I can immediately find who is the person who's worked on the game, who's building the game, or the person who is looking at the physics of how something is moving, and has the experience in it, and I want to hire that person. The professional network link is more about the educational, informative component, and it allows you to reach out to investors, publishers a lot easier than Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, etc. Now, all these things are, of course, important. And speaking as a game scout as well, I'm looking at Instagram, Reddit, Facebook, etc. to pay attention. I don't post anything, but I look at all these things to find what's the next game, what's the next the trend, to understand the thing. But yeah. So after you've basically within all these sort of platforms, you need to also understand that content is king. You are basically inundated with huge amounts of information, huge amounts of pictures, videos, GIFs, anything that just is there to grab the person's attention. Because content is king, it does mean that you need to be able to create a significant amount of content, that you need to create significant amount of interesting content, and you need to be able to adapt this content in such a way that it is of a reach to a massive group of people. Now, the content that you create will not appeal to everyone. So this brings you back to understanding your audience, understanding the segment, and understanding the behavior. And shifting the message within the content is important. It is part of the process. So with the content is king aspect of things, you need to also establish a regular cadence of posting. It is important that you know that when your viewers are going to be most likely using that social media aspect, when they are going to be most in tune with and receptive, and then you time your posts to those sort of time frames, and Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for example, and you have your post ready to go out. The next thing is, do your marketing assets make sense? Do they work for what the content is? The unfortunate thing about Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn is that they take media in very different ways. Instagram is about that picture, like I said, and Facebook is about that broader context. Instagram shortens and tightens the picture into an image. So your marketing asset that you are creating for one platform might not be suitable for another platform. You can imagine where you have your hero on your banner itself, and you're posting it on Instagram, and that square box suddenly limits everything, and you don't see your hero, you don't see your logo, you don't see what are you trying to say. So making sure that your marketing assets are clear is highly important, and to sort of customize it. Conduit actually provides the service of you creating that one specific art asset, and we will be able to create from that art asset into different versions of it, such that it's able to be posted on different platforms. These things we understand are completely tedious, and you want to be developing your game, but because you need to market and have that outreach, your assets need to be compatible for these separate platforms. The next thing that to also think about is, what is your CTA? What is your call to action within the game itself? Going back, what were your goals? Was it to find that investor? Was it to find that publisher? Was it to get more fans, to more backers? Your call to action will allow them to identify what it is that you want them to do. Do you want them to wish list? Do you want them to convey the sense of awe and therefore talk about it? Shaping that message to include the CTA does allow you to actually get what your focus goal is. And lastly, for all the content and all the posts that you're making, you're looking at trying to create and drive engagement and conversation about what is going on. Now, there are posts like Instagram, etc., that's not more about the conversational piece. This is more a Facebook, a LinkedIn sort of thing. But the fact is, the likes, the interaction, the engagement allows you to connect with that audience, allows yourself to understand what has worked and what has not worked, and basically creates the community that you are gonna need for your game to be successful. So there are several community channels that sort of are marketing and non-marketing at the same time. Reddit and Imgur are sort of specific social outreach sites that allow you to create different profiles for free. And as the typical indie dev, we have a smaller budget, so free is great. Reddit allows you to be able to post your content and create your own little subreddit about your game itself, creating that little ecosystem and fan base that you need. Imgur is a really good way of conveying the story of how the game is being developed, how the studio was developed, and how it makes the entire picture come to life. By doing a combination of both and choosing what works best for your game and your studio, you'll be able to create that sort of community outreach really cheaply and with more of a viral impact that you want, as much as your budget allows. Discord is honestly the best community outreach as well as congregation area. It allows you to sort of be able to differentiate the individuals who are coming into the game itself. One interesting marketing aspect of it is that the first few people who are in sort of become your evangelists. They are the people who are most excited about your game, who show their best interest. You can test your assets with them, your marketing assets with them, your game with them. They provide you with feedback, they provide you with an understanding, and you are able to control that sort of who gets to see what without just publicizing it. And that Discord itself allows that community to be created. And frankly, if you're a gamer and you don't have Discord, why? Now, there are many things to remember. And remember that this is also a very high level explanation and workshop about marketing. There are various different aspects, but within the message itself, you need to remember to be humble. You got to be human, be bold, be transparent. If there is a game that has been created that looks super beautiful, super polished, but has poor mechanics, etc., you could emphasize on the beauty. But you need to be also transparent with messaging, because when you are talking to people in the forums and in engaging them down there, there will be negative feedbacks. Being transparent, being humble, being having that humility to accept some things are not perfect, some things are not the way you want it, will create that better engagement than being outright defensive. You also want to get the most bang for your buck, and so therefore you run certain tests before committing to any large marketing budget spends. This involves looking at a specific area that you want to invest in first. You basically put all your money into that area and testing it, and like, oh, okay, within that attribute, that individual, you're getting the most interaction that leads to the most wish list. Therefore, it allows you to engage in it. Okay, we can do a bigger, larger marketing spend for the broader picture of the world. There is also the small things that don't work. A/B testing is where you try different marketing ideas and different sort of aspects of, does it work on the same group? Does this other message work? Part of the whole thing is that what you're looking to do is that you're trying to evaluate what works. The funny thing about marketing is that the message that you have in your head doesn't necessarily convey or is exactly what the audience will receive. So the need to evaluate, to adjust, and basically re-evaluate and do it all over again has to be constant. That critical and constant improvement as part of it. One more thing to remember is that humans have very short attention spans. In Instagram, Reddit, etc., all are designed for really quick bursts of dopamine. And because of that, your message, your picture, words, etc., needs to grab and go out quickly, conveying that message, but fitting within that short attention span itself. TikTok is wonderful at meeting those sort of standards. So another aspect of things is that being humans, we like pretty things. Pictures, graphics are thankfully within our industry, part of it, and therefore really very much useful for that sort of interaction. But moving beyond that, it's also good to actually have a diverse strategy of video and GIFs, but all of them have to have the same sort of thematic theme in it. This conveys your web presence, because when you're marketing, you're providing that sort of game, you're providing your studio, they will be individuals who sort of research who you are, what you do, what your studio is, beyond just accepting and liking the game itself. So it's really important to sort of look at what is available on the internet about your studio. When you Google your name, your game's name, what do you get? These are the things also change the outcome of how you want to name your game, for example, or shape your marketing. Search engine optimization, SEO. How do your tags and your underlying content connect to the different searches that are going on out there? What are the trends within Google that are being searched for during specific times of the year? These sort of things are all kind of part of the whole package that you need to research, need to look into before every marketing push. Keeping your priorities above the fold. Again, your strategy that you have has to be long-term. Your game is going to be on for a while. Your studio will be around for a while. You're not looking at that sort of short burst. Keep it in such a way that you are looking at the long-term plan, the bigger picture than just the short-term aspect. Having a regular posting schedule is, of course, the most important thing, because your web presence also denotes the regularity of things. For example, you are a studio that has created a game and you're looking for funding. You've posted out there and you've set up your little Steam wish list, etc. But you don't post anything, you don't have any interaction. And what happens is that a publisher, investor will look for your game, they'll look for your studio, and they find that your wish list, and look at your wish list setups, and they'll find your Steam page, and it says, oh, this Steam page has been on since 2020, and they're still not live yet. Why is that? Why is there no interaction? Why is there no fans? These things are things that you kind of have to take into account because it shapes the brand and also therefore shapes the marketing essence and message that you're trying to get across. That covers essentially a very, very high level aspect of marketing. I need to emphasize again that this is extremely high level. There are many nuances within marketing. There are very nuances within how to reach an audience or appeal to them, and different types of modes of marketing. The best way is always to think about your message and think about what you're trying to have them feel. In essence, if you go with anything, I hope you go with that. So I'll stop sharing for questions. Opening up to the floor for any questions that are out there.
I guess my question is, what's the best way, on your experience, to learn how to market more effectively when it comes to, visual arts such as game?
So can you elaborate a little bit more? You're saying visual arts, but what is the goal? What is the outcome that you want from marketing your visual art?
Well, basically, how to make it noticeable. How to actually make it more effective, I guess.
Noticeable by whom?
By the audience.
Right. I get that. See, and this is actually a really good example of how you are looking at things as well. You want it to be noticeable by the audience, but who is your audience? Are they individuals who are looking to hire the visual artist? Are they individuals who are firms who are looking at outside contracting work? Or are they firms who are looking at your specific art style? This also denotes how and what and when you're going to post. For visual artists themselves, there are specific platforms like ArtStation, etc., that they utilize for the posting of images, and that gets your visual out there. But do studio individuals look at ArtStation, for example, the recruiting person? Are they looking at pictures all the time? They are probably on LinkedIn, so post on LinkedIn, and therefore your message also gets out there to the right crowds that actually have to look at it. Do a combination of posts to spread out, but as typically as developers or that are indie studios, etc., we have small, limited sort of manpower in which to create the content, create the posts. So this is why when you're looking at it, you have to identify who you're targeting, your goals in this, and then decide what will get the maximize your outreach from the decisions based on those goals.
All right, thank you.
Cool. Any other questions out there, or discussion points or clarifications? I think we are a lot easier than last week.
You did such a great job with your presentation, GC. You were very clear. Apparently there's no questions.
Well, we are always going to be around. You have our contacts on how best to reach us. We are looking at how best to help indies all the time. We help you with your content, with your marketing, and we also look at how best to connect you with the right publisher, with the right investor. If there are any questions, just feel free to reach out. We're around, and I hope to see you all next week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thanks.
day.
Cheers.